Artificial intelligence is set to revolutionize our world. Most of us encounter AI in some way every single day, from the moment you wake up and check your smartphone to watching a recommended movie on a device in the evening. Now, according to a global study, the AI market is set to grow by over 50% each year. But with all the advantages that AI offers, such as automation, biometrics, and diagnostics, there will be some challenges along the way. Manuela Gazzard, President of Regulatory Services at BSI, joins me now to discuss this exciting topic and the importance of regulation within this space. Manuela, thank you for joining me. So BSI is making a significant investment in supporting the regulation of AI. Why has BSI decided to become an AI notified body?
So BSI is already a market-leading notified body in other areas, such as medical devices, medical testing, pressure equipment, for quite some time. So we feel we have got the right experience to also seek designation to the new AI regulation. And also we want to support the EU because this is the first of its kind of regulation that's introduced. In fact, it was only ratified in March this year. So we feel we should support the EU because it's such an important regulation that they're going to bring in. It will provide a framework for the industry to make sure that their devices and products comply actually with a framework, and therefore we believe that will accelerate innovation to make it safe and predictable.
So Manuela, how do you promote ethical AI development?
That is exactly what that framework of the EU is aimed for. You may have seen in the press recently that, there were cases where AI was used in, not so nice situations. We've seen Taylor Swift being subject to horrific pornographic pictures where AI was deployed. We have seen attempts to rig the upcoming US election with apparently Joe Biden calling up people, telling them what to vote. So this framework is actually aimed to make sure that AI is used ethically and safely, and it provides the guardrails for exactly doing that.
And how do you think the AI Act will benefit society and accelerate innovation?
Yeah, so innovation, especially when something so complex and so new is introduced, such as AI, I think a lot of people struggle to understand. So to generate trust, consumers and users want to be assured that what they are using is safe and is not, for instance, interrogating, personal data, etc. So by introducing that framework, we actually do exactly that. So consumers, when it passes the assessment of the new AI regulation, will be reassured that the product is doing what it's supposed to do and it's safe.
Now, you talk about the EU AI Act as being horizontal, a horizontal law. What do we mean by that?
Yeah, so regulations in the past were what's called vertical, and that means within industries. So for instance, medical devices, pressure equipment, etc. Horizontal means it is the same across industries, and therefore industry become comparable. So you can imagine that software that is not specific to an industry, for instance, financial software is used across industries. And that's what we mean by a horizontal regulation. So what it does is it makes it comparable and it standardizes the way how we deploy AI across different industries.
Now, guardrails are important to harness AI's potential for good. What do we mean by guardrails?
So we mean actually the regulatory framework as guardrails. So they will define, for example, when facial recognition is used, that it's used, for instance, for law enforcement, or that you can, and at the border pass, for instance, passport control, but it's not used to identify you as a person, and therefore send you all sorts of promotion materials, etc., and the data be abused that. So it will make sure that it's tested and it complies with those sorts of boundaries, let's call it in that sense, to make sure that it does what it says basically it does.
So how is AI being used internally within BSI?
So we have a long history as BSI, over 100 years, and we have collected lots and lots of data over decades and decades. So, for example, we are deploying fairly sophisticated AI to interrogate that data. So currently what we do, for instance, in an audit is we find fault, what's called a non-conformity. In the future, by interrogating that data, we want to make them available to our clients so they can design their product and their processes already in a way that those faults don't occur. And that's the data we're trying to get out with artificial intelligence. That's just one example.
AI has huge potential. Just tell us some other ways that you use AI within BSI.
So, for example, our standards department, they are using AI, in this sense, generative AI. So, AI can be deployed to text, to voices, etc. So we are using generative AI to make standards what we call smart. And that means the user can pull out those parts of the standard that are really important and that are practical. And so we will contribute to standardization in other areas via AI, because the standards can be quite complex and daunting for people and companies that have not used them before.
Tell us about the AI management system, the ISO, that you've created for the certification for this.
Yeah, so we have a new standard called ISO 42001, which is a harmonized standard in the EU. And we have a long history in participating in those discussions, or in fact developing. Some of them have started at BSI. ISO 9000, for instance, was one of them that we developed at BSI. So we have participated and we have contributed heavily into the development of ISO 42001.
And you're partnering with or using some software from a Japanese firm. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's very exciting for us. It's our partnership with a company called Citadel. It's a very young company, a startup company from Japan. And we've partnered with them because we want to do something completely new. And that means we want to interrogate software and data sets automatically. So you can think of software interrogating software. So traditionally, a human brain would look at data. Here we are having software looking at data and software interrogating software. Isn't that a fantastic new thought? So it will completely revolutionize the tech industry. So yeah, very exciting.
That sounds fantastic. We'll hear more about that, I'm sure. Let's move on. What is BSI's focus on AI in medical devices? Because this is a huge area for BSI.
We've seen recent example where we did assessments for example, an MRI scanner, an MRI software program. So, and this one was addressing cancer, and in that case, women's cancer, breast cancer. We can see tiny, tiny lesions that might have been missed by a physician are being picked up by the software, by AI. And it will be incredible because it will allow earlier treatment and therefore improve the prognosis for these patients, for these women, incredibly. So yeah, very, very exciting. And that's one example where we recently actually have looked at.
And is this one area perhaps where people are embracing the use of AI? What's the take-up in terms of patients? Are they happy that there's a kind of robotic system looking after them as well as a medic?
Yeah, I think if you would ask the average patient, I think there's still skepsis. And that's why it's so important to create that framework and that literally mark of trust, because once it's approved according, for instance, to the EU regulation, you have that assurance that it really does what it's supposed to do. I think it's quite still a spooky thought that a machine makes a diagnosis for you rather than a physician. So I think there is a bit more assurance needed. But I mean, the data, what we see, are just incredible in that space.
And of course, the goal is to facilitate safe adoption of AI, and that is exactly where your focus is.
Absolutely. So we are already currently offering some of these services. So for example, algorithmic auditing, where we have partnered up with a Japanese company, Citadel, and that will enable us to look at the data sets that are produced in prototypes, for example, already before they are approved. So, and it will give our clients the opportunity to improve and make sure it is really, really ethical and these data sets are really, really accurate. The other service we currently offer outside medical devices as well is what's called voluntary assessments, and they address a certain set of standards. So for early movers of our clients, they can come in and say, we already do this on a voluntary basis and therefore prepare once under the new EU regulation, these standards get harmonized, that they are already ahead of the curve, basically, by doing this on a voluntary basis.
And it's really important to target the early movers, especially since this space is full of entrepreneurs, full of new startups, etc., isn't it?
Absolutely, because that will accelerate innovation, because we will see new investments going in, and when something is safe and the trust is there, you get the pull from the market. So, and that will again, accelerate the innovation that will go into that space for even more innovation. It is truly really, really exciting time.
And exciting that you offer a full service to clients.
BSI is the market leader in Class 3 devices, but we do every single device in the medical devices space that you can think of, which is called a full scope notified body. So, and as I said, we are doing Class 3 devices where we are the experts, but a lot of them deploy software. So you can think about this is just, the next step on software deploying AI against it. So in order to remain a full scope and have a full suite of offering to our medical devices clients, it's vital, we think, that we get in early into the AI regulation and make sure that the software also can be certified by BSI.
So Manuela, in summary, you're excited to continue offering this full service to clients. Just give us a glimpse into the future.
I think AI will accelerate. We will see more and more innovation coming quicker and quicker to the market, new and newer concepts around AI in more and more industries deployed. So we have made a starting point with the EU regulation. I have got that hope that one day we will have a harmonized way of looking at it, because you can imagine software and computers, they don't stop at borders. Currently, we have the EU AI Act, which is the first of its kind, and it was only ratified in March this year. But I'm hoping eventually it will be a global approach that is harmonized and regulating those sorts of softwares. But I think we will see the most fascinating deployments in different industries and in different products, be it in cars, be it in drones, be it in, you name it, really. We will see AI deployed, as you said at the beginning as well. It is deployed already every day in areas that we use in our mobile phones. But I think, this is just the start, and it will not end there. In fact, it will accelerate.
Manuela, thank you so much for speaking to us. Thank you.
Thank you.